The Flip and Set ruler by Easy Quilting looks a little daunting at first, but is a really neat tool that helps us determine the size and measurement of setting triangles when we're piecing a quilt on point. When we lay out our quilt on point, we've got our blocks and are assembling our rows on a diagonal fashion, and these are the setting triangles. And many times it's difficult to determine exactly what measurement do they need to be so that we've got enough room that we're not losing the points here at the edges of our blocks. And also the setting corners are these triangles that go on the four corners of the finished quilt. And it's amazing how easy this tool is to use and to help us determine the accuracy of these pieces as we're cutting them. As we're putting this together and looking at the tool, one of the things that we need to know is the size of our finished block. And this tells us what size strip we need to cut in order to make that block. In this case, we have 4-inch finished block, 5-inch, 6-inch, 7, 8, and so forth, all the way up to a 16-inch finished block that we can accommodate cutting all with this same ruler. I'm going to go ahead and do a quick layout of another block on point so that we can see how easy it is to use this ruler. Just using 4.5-inch squares, which are going to finish as 4-inch blocks, I've laid out my mini quilt here on point, and I need to cut the triangles that are going here and then also on the corner. Because our block is finishing at 4 inches, we're going to cut a 3.5-inch strip, which I've already done. And the first thing that we want to do is then position our ruler onto it. And we're going to be lining up the 3.5-inch strip line on this cut edge, making sure we've got a little bit hanging over the edge so we can get a nice cut here at that corner. And then double checking that our tip is aligned there. Because this ruler is a little bit larger, I want to make sure that I've got some of my fingers on the ruler and then also the palm of my hand on the cutting mat to hold it in place. And I'm going to be making 2 cuts. One going up this side, and I'm going to pull that away to make sure that we've got a good clean cut. And then the second cut will be going along this side of the ruler. And again, pulling away to make sure we've got a nice clean cut. What this gives us now is a triangle that is our setting triangle that will fit perfectly in that space. To continue cutting the triangles, what I found easiest is to flip the fabric and then realign the cut edge with this edge of the ruler. Our edge of fabric here along the 3.5-inch strip, and then we can cut on this direction, and it allows us to cut away from ourselves for nice safe cutting. As we've made this cut, because that is a diagonal, we have exposed bias edges here, which you can see as I'm stretching the fabric. So we want to handle these carefully as we put them into place, but because we're going to be sewing those bias edges in quickly, that will allow us to have a non-stretch side on the outer edges of our block so that we can make sure that it stays in shape. To continue cutting more of the triangles, just flip your fabric going the opposite direction so that we're lined up. Position the ruler. So that we have our cut edge along this side, the other edge of our fabric lining up on the 3.5-inch strip, hold it in place, and then we'll cut on the other side. And by continuing to flip the fabric and lining up, it lets us cut a lot of setting triangles very quickly and easily and very accurately. The next thing we need to do is to cut our corner triangles, which are here. And in order to do that, the instructions tell us that we are going to be cutting a square that is the size of our finished block, which we're at 4.5 inches unfinished, so that would be a 4-inch finished square. And then we're going to simply cut that on the diagonal with a cutting grid. And I'm lining up tip to tip with my diagonal. And we'll cut right along that. And that will give us 2 triangles. Bias edge is towards the middle. And now we have our layout for our setting triangles and our setting corners that are cut with the flip and sew triangle. After we've sewed that together, as you can see on this piece that I already have done, we have plenty of room to square up this block and still have 1/4 of an inch beyond all of our points so that all the points on the edges line up perfectly. Many times I've been hesitant to put a quilt on point because I always struggle with getting these setting triangles to come out exactly right and have plenty of room so that my points aren't missing. And the Flip and Set ruler by Easy Quilting allows me to do that perfectly. I hope you have as much fun with the Flip and Set ruler by Easy Quilter as I did. It's definitely one that I want to add to my quilting toolbox.